live and should be available on the website by tomorrow. I'd like to now read the Déclaration Utilisation de la langue de son choix, the declaration use of the language of your choice. Je rappelle l'importance pour les membres du Conseil régional et les autres participants à la séance de s'exprimer librement dans la langue de leur choix. Au besoin, il y aura la présence sur place d'une ressource de la MRC pour assurer une traduction. I'd like to reiterate the importance for regional council members and other participants in the sitting to express themselves freely in the language of their choice. If necessary, a resource of the MRC will be available to ensure translation. And also, because we are on Facebook Live, if anybody wants to speak, to be heard on Facebook Live, you need to use a microphone, and we do have a number of them around the table. And when it comes to question period, of course, please speak right into the microphone. The next item on the agenda, number 5, also for information, is the Déclaration de la Préfète sur le décorum, or the Warden's Declaration of Decorum. Nous sommes élus par les gens du Pontiac pour les représenter au mieux de nos capacités. Ils s'attendent à ce que nous menions nos réunions d'une manière professionnelle. J'écouterai très attentivement les débats et les discussions de cette réunion et si j'entends des paroles négatives ou des critiques à l'égard de quelqu'un d'autre, j'arrêterai la réunion et demanderai à cette personne de s'excuser. Je vous remercie. We are elected by the people of the Pontiac to represent them to the best of our ability. They expect us to conduct our meetings in a professional and businesslike manner. I will be listening very carefully to the debate and discussion in this meeting, and if I hear any words of negativity or criticism of anyone else, I will stop the meeting and ask that person to apologize. Thank you. Number 6, the reading and adoption of the agenda. I need a resolution, please. Moved by Mayor Christine Francoeur. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. Are there any declarations of conflict of interest on this agenda? You have a declaration of interest? No. Yes, there were more in favor. Yeah. It's not a recorded vote, so I didn't say the numbers, but I can see by the show of hands. Yeah. Thank you. And no declarations of interest. Now we go to the public question period. But before we do that, I had meant to, I was the one that called this meeting. And so this is a special meeting with one item on the agenda. And the reason for this meeting being called is that I felt we had some unfinished business that needed to be completed. Our initial business case finished, but we have not been able to communicate the results to the total population. And so we have a responsibility to communicate results of a study paid for by taxpayers' dollars. I thought it would be a good idea, and so did Mayor Corey Spence. And by the way, Mayor Corey Spence had other business he had to attend to today, and so he's being represented by his pro-mayor, Ivan Schreier. Welcome, Ivan. So we thought it would be a good idea to have town hall meetings, and especially after the very well-attended March 2nd meeting by citizen of the Pontiac, and with the videos having gone viral, there was a lot of information out there, but no information about our business case. So we thought that having town hall meetings and holding them over a 3-week period all over the Pontiac with many people knowing about it, that we would be having very large crowds. In the end, having counted the signed in sheets, we have 2.5% of the population of 14,700. So there's 97.5% of people that actually didn't get the handout at the town hall meeting. And a lot of people have been asking when they're going to see the results. And so as a result, it's important to have this meeting. so that we can approve a newsletter. The initial newsletter that was sent out to the mayors had some issues, one being that it was written from the Council of Mayors, so that's been changed. This is just from the MRC Pontiac. And also, I think there were some opinions in it. Those have all been removed. This is just a factual sheet. And we think that, from time to time, I understand that municipalities do use newsletters in mailboxes, maybe water notices, things like that. In my 6 years working here, we haven't had a newsletter, but when you think about it, everyone has a mailbox and there's 7,695 mailboxes. So the most effective way to communicate is through a flyer into a mailbox. And in terms of budget, reference to no further spending by the MRC was in reference to a further study, not communicating something that we should have communicated. And so today, we realized that communication hadn't been part of our allotted budget with our initial business plan. So this is why we have called the meeting. So the purpose of the meeting is to be able to
Jane,
move forward and support a communication
hello?
plan.
Yep.
Yes, I'm
why
finished.
don't we just
Question
release the
period.
business case? Like, why don't we just put it up and have people go through it? Like that, this is great to let us know why
I'm
we're
just
having this
explaining the
meeting,
purpose
but
of the meeting.
I know, I understand that,
yeah.
but wouldn't it be easier just to release the initial business case?
So as
Or
you,
put our efforts towards getting permission to release the initial business case?
we have made those efforts, and the initial business case, which is quite large, many, many pages, lots of technical information, is, yes. Well, anyways, legally, we have not been able to do that. And so to have a summary sheet, an interesting, so anyways, let's go to the question period now. And we have some guidelines for this. First of all, the subject is the newsletter and budget. And any member of the public has a maximum time allotted for addressing our council with one question and one sub-question of 5 minutes, after which the chair of the meeting may put an end to the intervention. So we would have the opportunity for 6 interventions. If you don't need 5 minutes, then let us know, and then someone else, it will make time for more people. These are the rules set out that I've been given. And so we will open the floor for questions. Please put up your hand. Linda Davis, okay, have a microphone, please. And if you could state your municipality, thank you.
Hello, is it on? It's working?
It is. We
Hello,
can hear
Linda
you.
Davis, I'm in Shawville. I'd like to begin before my questioning to ask you, advise us all about comportment, but when we are addressing you in the public question period, could I ask that proper decorum and would be afforded to the people presenting, that we are not interrupted, we are not debated, we are allowed to speak. As when you were in Renfrew County, that's an excellent example if anyone has watched.
So the answer is yes. Could we hear your question?
You've just interrupted me again. I wasn't finished speaking. Please allow me to continue. You have just ruled that people can only speak according to what's on the agenda. That's a decision on your part. That's a decision call.
Actually, it's the rule of a special meeting. We're not adding new items to this agenda. We have
It's not a new item when the public comes to speak. Are the mayors that are sitting around the table saying that if your people drove in for 45 minutes and are going to spend an hour and a half, that you would not give them the time to speak and that they would not be afforded their 5 minutes? Is that what you're saying, that these people cannot have the right to speak? That there's no limit when you look at your agenda, it says public delegations questions. There's no limitation as to what questions you can ask. If your timeline is such that it's too much to take, that's unfortunate. And that's
Linda, you're using up your question time.
No, I'm
Would you
not,
like to ask so you've just asked, can people
You're
not ask?
interrupting me again, and
No, I'm trying to have a chance to answer. And so it's very clear with a special meeting. This meeting was organized for one purpose, to consider one item on the agenda with one resolution, and that is it. Okay, so please speak to the item on the agenda.
When you open up the
Which is
topic
the
of
newsletter.
fire, that opens up the whole topic
Okay,
of
so you're the
incineration.
one that wants to debate, and so I'm going to ask
No,
you to
Jane, I
give
don't
someone
wanna
else a
debate.
chance to ask a question. Okay, thank you, Linda. And no, I'm
Thank you.
sorry, I'm chairing the meeting.
Okay, so what I'd like to say is that as a former federal contract negotiator that overseed all translation in the federal public service, when I got a copy of the Deloitte contract, it actually says in there that the contents are owned by Deloitte and that they gave a whole lot. If this contract was actually signed, I want to know who produced this contract to you. Why was there not a counter negotiation on the terms that are unacceptable? And in fact, why would you release something and say that no third party would be allowed to have a copy of it when we paid for it? So it's part of what we're discussing today. You're saying you want to give the information out. Give the information out. Give us the contents of the document, the actual document.
You have it. I
No, we
think
don't. We only have portions of it. We didn't get the whole document. The
I-
mayors that I've spoken to said no, that there's more to it, that you just gave us the highlights.
I believe, no. On the day that we said it would be released, I know that many of your organizations posted it on your websites, and you had as much as we could release.
Well, that's
So that was
irrespective.
it.
That's a legal side on it. The fact that you were
Linda,
you're
Linda,
interrupting me again.
I'm not, no,
Jane.
yes, I don't have all the answers that you're
Well, you
looking for
need to
today.
have the
No,
answers.
no. This newsletter is a recap based on the presentation that was given to the mayors, and it also is factual. It is not opinion-based.
Do you
So,
understand? Okay, I'd like to go
I'm
back to
going
my
to
5
ask
minutes
you-
in questions, please.
I'm sorry, I'm going to, you're just arguing with me.
No,
I'd like
excuse
to
me, it's
give-
not your position. I would
I
like to,
would like to,
would you please allow me to finish
no,
my
I'm
question?
asking you to stop.
I'm
please
telling
be
you no,
quiet.
because I'm within my right to speak for 5 minutes.
You're speaking, but you're supposed to ask a question.
Okay, my question is to you. Could I ask, was there a legal review of this
I
contract?
will ask our Director General.
That's
Can you
exactly
answer
who
that,
I would
Kim?
direct the question to.
Your question?
Is when this document came, it was a proposal. It was probably Baden Ladner, which is a multinational legal firm of 18,000 people based in Germany. Did someone review this from our own standpoint to safeguard the integrity that we didn't have legal exposure here at the MRC?
The contract itself?
Yeah, when it was sent to you, it was a proposal. You could have countered it and said, take the clause out that says that any legal matters arising would now be, the court of proper jurisdiction would be Toronto, so we'd have to hire Ontario lawyers to deal for that. So was it reviewed by someone else?
Only internally.
So you'd had no lawyer look at it? Wow.
We have since had legal advice on whether there were any ramifications having released it when it shouldn't have been released, and there are no ramifications.
Okay, now,
Okay,
the
so
get to
now
that question-
I want to talk about the newsletter.
No, you don't have control of this,
Okay.
Jane. You cannot use your
Pardon me?
untoward position to do that. The second question is, you are, you have
15
exposed-
seconds, Linda,
you
15
have
seconds.
exposed us to legal action. It's marked on the contract. I got this in access to information and it's a private and confidential. So you've now exposed the municipality to perhaps significant. You
No,
stood in the
We've been,
line- you
we've
didn't
been
interrupt me,
reassured
Jane.
that's not the
I
case.
will
Thank
ask
you,
my
Linda.
question. I would like you to
It's not the
please
case. Thank you.
explain. You said that there will be
You're
no
finished, Linda?
ramifications.
Could someone please take the microphone? Who else would like to ask a question? Surely with everyone here. Jennifer Quayle?
Gordon Toller,
Could you turn your volume up, I think?
Gordon Toller.
Okay. Just speak right into
I have
it.
a cold.
Okay.
I just think it's one thing for you to make statements and
Is this a
claims.
question? Please do not, this is not personal. This does not need to be personal. Please
you give
stick
me one
to the
minute?
subject at hand. Thank you. I do not, you can stop talking. All right, could you please leave? You need to leave. You can leave. You can leave. Yes, you can leave. Do we not have any, I don't know. So could, I'm asking you to leave if you're going to argue like that behind my back. Well, you're not allowed to be disrupting the meeting. No, I'm not. I'm trying to run this meeting. No, could you please leave? I don't want to listen to that again. Okay, does everyone agree that I do not have to have a person speaking behind my back the whole time, filming me and asking me? Yeah, so we all think you should leave. Please go. Thank you.
I
Please
don't
go.
agree, Jane. Jane, I think she should
Article
stay.
159, Article 150.
Jane. Maybe everybody could just calm down.
It's
and-
okay that it's being recorded, but we still have to be civil here. And by Article 159 of the Municipal Code, anyone that's causing trouble to this seance can be asked to leave. So please just be respectful.
And I am presiding at this meeting. And so if I have to ask I've never had to ask anybody to leave before, but this person will not be the last one. And so if the rest of you cannot, please, you've been at all the town hall meetings. I know why you're here, and it's great that you're here. It's important to have public input. I really want to hear your questions. So let's go back to Jennifer Quayle. And Jennifer, instead of speaking to me about, something personal, could you please just ask a question? Could you ask a question? And Linda Davis, if there's any more heckling, I have to ask you to leave too. Would you? No, but you're the chief heckler. Jennifer Quayle, would you want to ask a
This is
question?
not personal, Jane. It's
Okay.
really not personal.
Okay.
I'll begin again, and I hope my clock stopped. It's 5
We're
minutes
going to
starts
start it
here.
now.
Thank you.
Okay.
I am here to say a couple of things. First, it's one thing for you to make statements and claims in public venues verbally. But it's quite another thing for you to put those statements into a newsletter intended for the public and ask the Council of Mayors to support it. And I'm particularly concerned about the sentence that is probably in there. I don't know, I haven't seen the newsletter. That you stated previously, and it's, we need more information. Because I think a lot of people believe that to mean we need another business plan. So my question to you is, can you reassure the people of the Pontiac that any endorsement are you looking for support to go forward with the second business plan? Is that what this is really about?
Thank you for that question. And I think you'll be very happy to hear, as you know, tonight is after many months of not meeting, the Waste Management Committee is meeting, chaired by Carrie Richardson. And the topic is only recycling and composting. We're not talking about energy from waste. To answer your question, are we trying to do another business plan? I think the priority right now has to be three things. Improving our recycling, starting the composting in a major way, hopefully something that the 18 municipalities can do in concert together, and also zero waste. And through Judy Spence, I'm really thankful to Judy Spence. She has put me in touch with Benoit Prue, and Benoit Prue was instrumental in starting the zero waste education of the city of Gatineau. And we are finding out what it is that they could do in terms of educating us and what the package would, involve. What would it be? How much money would it cost, this type of thing? And Judy even said that she was looking into grants for us, which was, very kind. So that's the priority right now. And yes, the business case recommended that more information is needed, but we have no plans right now to do another business case. As you know, we have to identify funding that is not part of MRC Pontiac's budget. The other thing I can share is that for the last 5 years, we've been involved in a CPO study, a solution for the Outaouais. So this is the city of Gatineau, Descolin, Papineau, Valley de la Gatineau, and Pontiac. And just 2 months ago, they said that they had come up with 0 results when they were looking at Enerchem and sustained technology. And they asked, do we want to work as an Outaouais region or individually? And I was the first one to say as an Outaouais region, because individually it's very difficult to come up with a good solution. So what I think you may hear more about in the coming months is just that the Outaouais is working together, which does not involve bringing anything from Ontario. And the volumes in total in the Outaouais are much less than what was being proposed initially. So that's my answer on that. Did you have a sub question, Jennifer? Okay, thank you. Thanks for giving me a chance to explain that. Question?
Yes, my name is Janet Atkins. Janet Atkins. Can speak, and I'm a resident of Calumet Island. I once was a resident of Bristol, was at the shovel last Tuesday. And when I heard about the incinerator, I decided to do some research. I knew nothing about zero waste. And certainly I read the United Nations Declaration in 2022, and the fact that they declared an International Day of Zero Waste, and how important that is in our world today. And I also learned a lot about the circular economy as opposed to the linear economy, which they compare to the Industrial Revolution. And those days are long in the past. Circular economy means zero landfill. That's our eventual goal. That's where the zero waste came, and zero incineration. Everything is to be recycled, reused, redirected, and major companies in the world are doing that. Some of the major car manufacturers, incinerators are a thing of the past. And I'm wondering why you would ever send a letter doing that to the people of the Pontiac. I love the Pontiac. It's my home, my summer home. My family loves it here. And I certainly am very proud to be a person that lives in Pontiac. My vision of the Pontiac is beauty. I see the rivers in my mind's eye, the land and the water. And when I see an incinerator in my mind's eye, I'm sickened by the concept.
Okay,
So I
well,
just don't
so
think, we need to send out a letter to anybody about an incident.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I'll just, even though you didn't ask a question, I'll just respond. I'll just respond to what you've said and say that, as you heard in the town hall meeting in Shawville, Mayor Corey Spence spoke a lot about the difference between the linear economy and the circular, and that we're certainly embracing circular. This is where we want to go. And in terms of the flyer itself, it's not advocating incineration, it's advocating circular economy, more recycling and composting to the maximum. And the one thing that I think we can all agree that we're against is landfill. And landfill, large scale landfill. Yes, no, but okay, well, I know that you also are opposed to an incinerator, but the important thing is, having done the initial business case, yes, we were looking at incineration as a technology, but in the CPO, we're looking at other things. It's not just incineration. And so I think once, just to give the information, this is just to recap the good work that was done. And from this point on, you're going to hear us talking about this year enacting a much bigger thrust towards the recycling and the composting and the zero waste. But zero waste will take a long time, a lot of education. It's individual decisions for everybody. And maybe by 30 years from now, we'll be there where we won't need to put anything out. Jane, Sandra?
I have somebody with a question.
Okay.
Pat Shank.
Oh, yes. Hi,
Hi
Pat.
again. I'd like for you to be quite clear, if I may, because there's a lot of confusion. I'd like to hear from you. Is the incinerator of any size still on the table? Yes or no? Is it on the table? Yes or no? That's the answer everybody wants. And we all know about zero waste. It's not supposed to include incinerators, especially new ones. In Europe, they're phasing them out through zero waste. You see? Yes, it does. Now, Gaspé and Percé, for example, two MRCs, did you read about them? They made it work, but they started 10 years ago, right? They're heroes in Quebec. And they're small communities, they're isolated, and they made it work anyway. So yes or no? I ask again, yes or no? Is it on the table? Yes or no? Please. It has to be yes or no. If you don't answer yes or no, it's still on the table.
Bonjour, good morning. My name is José Bouchard. I'm spokesperson for Pontiac Voice, Woods Pontiac, and our main concern is health, as you well know. We do have 3,006 each. We try to be good, giving the good and the bad on everyone. We did look at the MRC website because we would have posted information from the MRC website for the incineration, but as you're withholding the information, it is not possible. So of course, it seems to be one-sided. As for the leaflet, I think that there's a general consensus that people are not in favor. There's a lot of, I think that putting money, flogging a dead horse is a waste of our resources. So I've heard you, mayors, to vote against a budget for that. If there's information on the website, we will be more than happy. And by 3,500 Facebook page, we usually reach at least 3/4 of the people who are interested in their health. And we do know that fly ash and all the fumes coming from the different chimneys, like even I did a quick research on Scholar yesterday, and there is no new technology coming up. It's still old technology, and there's still many health concerns. And I urge you, in the name of your children and your grandchildren, to think for the next 40 years.
Okay, thank you. Just one point, Jose, and thank you very much. And thanks for all the good work that Pontiac Voice is doing. There are many people who don't have access to computers, and everybody has a right to understand what this business case is about. And there was also information that came out on March 2nd that caused a lot of fear. And yes, there was. And so I think that it would be good to reassure people that we would never build anything like what was being proposed on March 2nd. Okay, are we at 9:30? How many more? 9 more minutes. Okay, great. Perhaps 2 more people with questions. Yes, sir. Please identify yourself.
Morning, John. Hello. My name is Jeffrey Cushing. My wife and I are residents of Florence. Have been for 30 some odd years. And we happen to live in the prevailing wind of the old pulp mill. So when we first arrived in the Pontiac, our first morning smell was the smell of pulp mill. So that woke us up to some of the environmental concerns we have moving into Pontiac. But my question is, and I have to give a little bit of background here quickly, is that in the next 20 years, I'll be dead. And looking around me in this room, most people will be dead. And if not,
I hope not.
they're going to be moving on into that direction. All to say that we're making a decision. A decision is being made by the mayors to represent a generation that isn't even in this room. A generation. Moen and I are grandparents for the first time as of last month, and it changes your perspective. We've invested millions into our facility here in the Pontiac, and it hasn't been just for business. It's the International School for Studies.
Okay, great.
And our big concern is when I look around and see the types of development that are acceptable. My biggest concern are my grandchildren and my children. We've invested millions of dollars to build facilities that bring in international clients from 4 continents into the Pontiac. Having some kind of facility like that, sure, it's going to affect our business immediately, but more importantly, it's going to have a detrimental effect on the generation that aren't sitting around this table.
Okay.
By the time they are sitting at this table, are they going to be regretting the decisions that you make?
Okay.
So my question to you is, are you thinking about short-term solutions, or are you thinking about the people that will be sitting around this table with their children and their grandchildren in the next 10, 20, 30 years?
Thank you. And thanks for the good work you're doing with the international studies. I think that we're thinking of short-term and long-term. Short-term would be what can we do right now? Long-term is, what is available in the world to help us with the fact that we know that we will always have waste, unfortunately, to deal with. But I wanted to also mention something else. There's quite a bit of interest in our CPO. I know of 2 other regions that would like to have the incinerator on their territory. So we're actually in a competition. And so my question is, when I was asked over there by Pat Shank, is incineration on the table? Well, the CPO it is. I can't say, no, we're not going to consider it, because how would you feel if we sent our waste to an incinerator somewhere else? Sir, how would you feel? Is it just that it's here in the Pontiac that you don't like the idea? Oh, you're against incineration totally? Okay, I just wanted to clarify that. We've got time for one more question. Pat Guyette. Oh, Charlie. All right, both of you. Go ahead, Pat.
I'm Pat Goyette, representing Amy Taylor and Pontiac Independent. And I'd like to address the Council of Mayors. In all respect, Jane, you are the promoter of this project. You cannot be unbiased toward this project. You cannot represent us and represent the project at the same time. You are in conflict of interest.
I have to disagree. I have to
Please,
disagree.
Can I finish? Let me point out, I'd like to point out your resolution and why we're here today. Your resolution, I'll make 4 points why you're in conflict of interest, and you're probably breaking the code of ethics by your conduct. It's impossible, like I said, it's impossible to represent the people who are against the project and representing Covanta and all them.
I don't represent Covanta. I don't represent
speak,
any
please?
company. I believe in this because I know that it works. It's an
I
effective.
don't care if it works, Jane. I have
Technology.
5 minutes, I can't debate you. I want.
Well, just ask your questions.
No, I can put. my
You're
question in
accusing me of a
context.
conflict of
I'm
interest.
putting-
So
No, I'm.
please identify how I have a conflict.
Conflict of interest is, as a promoter of project, is writing a resolution to support your agenda. That's conflict of interest, Jane. I'm speaking to the mayors. That's conflict of interest. You cannot sit on committees and make decisions and bullies your mayors and supporting your agenda. That's conflict of interest and breaking the ethic code. That's what it is, really. And Jane, it's clear, Jane, since this project has started, that you have an agenda. You are the promoter. You presented the first presentation in Kalanch and Shawville. We're all about Kalanto, talking points of Kalanto. My question to you is, I'm gonna go to the commission on this. I'm gonna make an official complaint to the Quebec Municipal Commission on your.
Go right ahead.
I will.
Yeah,
Don't
please
you
do.
worry, I will. You know me. I will make a conflict and it'll probably involve a lot of mayors in answering questions. So my question to the mayors is, we request you reject the upcoming vote on the resolution to allow for the investigation by the Quebec Municipal Commission into potential conflict of interest and violation of the Code of Ethics. We cannot go on with this.
All right.
This is my
Pat?
question. And it's directed at the mayor. It's not directed at you, Jane.
Okay.
And all respect.
So I want to reassure the mayors that I have absolutely no conflict of interest and no one around this table does either. I'm confident of that. And in terms of bullying, if there's one thing that has concerned me, it's the fact that you yourself said, Pat, all you have to do is send 20 people to council meetings and you'll scare them and they'll all vote it down. The bullying that's been going on has been unbelievable. Let the mayors, let the elected people represent and do their work. Thank you. And now Charlie had a question.
Yes, Jane. My question to you, the council and to yourself is regarding the actual newsletter, what this meeting is about. In this newsletter, what are going to be released as the topics? Is there going to be full transparency of everything that has been done so far, including the cost of the studies that have been done and the cost, production, and release or distribution of this newsletter? Will they be included in this?
Yes, thank you very much. That this is newsletter is in draft, so you've given me a very good point, Charlie. I'm not sure that it mentions that the 120,000 had been spent, but it's pretty much common knowledge, but I think that's something that we should add. And the other thing that we could add is that for the printing and the distribution to the 7,695 mailboxes, we estimate it will be under $3,000. So we're setting aside $3,000 for this. I should also tell you, the MRC has a communication budget, but we have been using it for things like lapel pins and pens. And I think in the future, it would be a good idea. I mean, example, our MP sends out newsletters, I think every month, do a better job communicating through this process.
That's exactly what I'm here for.
Thank you. So transparency and have that added to the newsletter
Yes.
so that they know.
For the reason that, like you said, a lot of people aren't following this on Facebook. Some of them are, and quite a few are.
Yeah.
But I'd like to hear what all the topics are going to
Yes.
be in this newsletter.
Right.
And the transparency has to be there, including where the money is coming from, what these budgets are being used for.
Exactly.
So communication, what that's going to cost just out of communication budget.
Okay.
Where the money came from for the $125,000 study, what section that came from.
Yes.
Will that all be included in the newsletter? And
Yes, it will be.
well.
We can add that, those numbers. Thank you very much. Okay, this concludes our question period. No, usually the media doesn't ask questions. Charles, are you here?
Yes, is if you have a budget of $3,000 for printing and distributing your message, have you considered what you could do with that in terms of supporting your local media? Between the three of us here, we reach pretty much everybody in the public. We do that for our living every week of the year. And $3,000 could buy you a couple of full-page ads or several half-page ads. And who knows how much airtime on the radio to get your message out. I just wonder why you're thinking of duplicating what we do with your own message when you could just support your local businesses and advertise in the local media.
Actually, I'd already spoken to the Journal about that. about the possibility of, in addition to a newsletter, having the Pontiac Journal. Yes, Bonnie was giving me some pricing. Here's the thing, we didn't want to spend too much money. So with the $3,000, 1,371.46 has to go to Canada Post because they are, we have to pay to have them placed in mailboxes. And I know that the Equity, you do have some subscribers, but it's not going to do the whole population, and you'd have to pay $1.50 for it at a store. And so with the Journal, it comes out, I think it goes to everyone. So that's something to perhaps look at in addition to the newsletter. But at least with the newsletter, we know every single person will receive the information, which is important because most people do not understand why it has taken so long to receive the facts of this business case, that their tax dollars have paid for. So this concludes our, and my apologies, Charles, I haven't usually had a member of the media ask a question, so I was just checking, but you are a member of the public as well. Odie, go ahead.
Well, don't hate me. But because it's a special meeting, maybe we should make an exception to give everybody, if they don't heckle and don't go on for 100 years, a chance to ask a question.
No, I'm sorry. It's half an hour. It's what's allocated. And I think that we've heard lots of information. We've had lots of good questions. And if anyone has questions, we're available after the meeting. Okay, we're going now to number 9. We will vote on the resolution, and I'll ask Kim Lesage to read out the resolution. Okay, go ahead, Terry. Mayor Lafleur.
Yeah, hello. Yes, thank you, Jane. Okay, I got a chance to go through the newsletter a little bit yesterday and today. So questions in regard to sources for pretty much all of the statements in the newsletter, because we don't source, we don't say where this information is coming from. I'm guessing it all comes from the initial business case, which we should have already posted. Right? So like, why?
Are you asking the
I'm asking
question?
the question.
Yeah.
Where are all the sources? Are we going to quote the sources? Are we going to give the residents a chance to review the sources that we're quoting in this newsletter?
Well, it does reference Deloitte and Ramble and the initial business case. The information about circular economy, reuse, recycle, repurpose, repair. This was from the town hall meetings, and a lot of the excellent research was done by Corey Spence. And it does say at the bottom, if you have any questions or concerns, to call the MRC Pontiac. So we can certainly, if people are looking for those sources, we can provide them. Okay. Thank you. Any more questions, Mayor
I have a
Lafleur?
few more questions. If we're not going to source it, if we're putting this out the way it is, Jane, it sounds like we are the authority on incineration. I, for one, am not.
You're not
I
an
can't
authority.
support this the way it's written without giving the individual residents the chance to refute or question,
All right.
at least source what it is that we're telling them.
Okay.
Because obviously a portion of our residency doesn't believe what we're telling them. Right? So now we're putting this out without sourcing any of it other than a study that they paid for that they can't even look at.
At the, thank you, Mayor Lafleur. At the town hall meeting, we had quite a large piece of paper that was given out. We didn't have it prepared for the first town hall, but it was there for 4 town halls. And I didn't have any negative feedback from the activists or from the mayors. And so that was too much information. So it's been scaled down to something that's a little more digestible. And this is what we're going to vote on today. However, we are going to add the numbers that Charles has asked for. I think it's a good idea. So we're going to add in $120,000 was initially spent on the business case. And we will let everyone know at the bottom that this was the cost for printing and distribution through Canada Post came to $3,000. So that's what will be added. So I'd like to call the vote now.
No, I
And-
still have questions, Jane. Thank you. So I'm going to go back to Mr. Dixon's statement, question. In
About
regards to
using the
spending
newspapers?
in regards, so by law, the province requires each municipality when they're adopting a new bylaw to post it in a local newspaper and at the local office. Why are we I mean, we can put it in a newspaper, we can put it at the office if you wanted to, if it actually gets approved. I don't understand how you think we're going to get, are you trying to get more support for energy from waste?
No.
Okay, so
I'm-
you want to get the information out.
What we're
We
trying
have-
to do is
we
we're
have
trying to
Pontiac Voice,
communicate.
Pontiac Independent,
the more
Friends
I
of the
think
Pontiac,
about
the
this-
MRC website, the municipalities' websites,
Mhm.
the newspapers.
We
that
get- This
base
is going to
voices
be a
on-
huge
thank you.
budget now, okay?
Yeah,
and
well,
this is
the
not a
budget you're
bylaw.
proposing to use is
This is a report.
the budget. you're
This is a
proposing to
newsletter.
use, Jane, is for your travel expenses.
It's usually
It's not for a newsletter. So
Mayor Lafleur?
you need to make sure that everybody understands
yeah,
that you're pulling money from that.
It
So
was
we're not going to send you to the FQM meeting in September for you to enhance your knowledge of whatever it is we're going to go listen to. Are you going to in September then come back to us and say, well, I have all these expenses. Oh, your budget is busted. Well, just take it out of here now.
I think you know the answer to that.
Well, I
Of
don't
course
know.
not.
That's why I'm asking the question.
I took a look at my historical spending in 6 years. I have never spent my budget. I never.
It's not true,
put-
Jane, because I had to look at it
I
as well.
never-
In 2 years ago, you spent over $7,500.
No, I
Your
didn't.
budget is 3,000, I
No.
believe.
No.
Yes.
Well, I have different information from our treasurer. Okay, excuse me, Terry. Can you please let me no, but you're accusing me of a few things and it's not the truth. So I would like to tell the truth. So you asked me the question, am I going to come back and need more money? The answer is no. Right now, I had spent, when I inquired to do this, $678 so far this year. My budget is $6,000. I can afford to take $3,000 and set it aside. Yes, I can. Well, if there are the votes around the table and we have the approval, that is all that's needed. That is all that's needed. And yes, so in 2018, I had a budget of $7,500 and I spent $2,311. In 2019, I had $5,000 and I went over by $670. In 2020, I had $6,000 and I only spent $2,335. In 2021, I had $6,000. I spent $472. In 2022, I had $6,000. I spent $3,188. And in this year, with this spending of the newsletter, 2023, I had $6,000 and spent $5,482. This year I have $6,000 and to date, before going to FQM, it was $678. And with FQM, it's perhaps another $800. And so I only have 2 or 3 more trips to make and I take a train or a drive. And I never put any meals on my expense account. Never. Because I don't think it's appropriate for me to go out eating, dining, or whatever on the taxpayers. Communication. Exactly. This November, we will add more money. Well, Terry, Mayor LaFleur, it seems to me the public have waited months, and the time they have waited months for information about this newsletter. And yes, they have. Well, you're not the people in the room that are complaining about this. So the people that are looking for information need information, and the time to send it is now. And so I'm going to call the vote. Yeah,
I have a question.
I
have a
Christine
Mayor.
has her hand up. Go ahead, Christine.
Yes, my name's Christine. I'm Mayor for Clunge. I am not against informing the population, not at all. But what I do think that we should be doing is adding what the questions, the sources, the money business, everything on this before it's being approved. Now, if this is going to be sent through the mail or the newspaper, I don't know yet. But I think we do need to reapprove this before anything is put out to the public.
Okay, so Christine, could you please move an amendment that would, yes, she can add, yes, we can amend it right now. Could you please move an amendment to add the $3,000 and the $120,000 and the sources? Well, my concern, you know what my concern is? This will never go out, and that's what you want. This will never go out, and our public will not hear the information that they need to hear. Are there any,
No,
Christine?
what I want the public to hear everything. That's definite.
I know.
Okay? Now.
But if
and
we
I'm
delay
not
another
going to
month,
pass
they'll
an
never hear
amendment
it.
For this, we will not pass an amendment for this. I just think that all the information should be on this before it's sent out. So we need to reapprove this.
Warden Toller, you've been saying that the people are waiting to hear this and waiting for this information. All the people that I speak to and everyone, and there's been a lot. People communicate from different ends of the Pontiac, telling me they don't want this. They don't want this. It's clear they don't want it. And when is the light bulb going to go on and accept that this is not a project that is wanted in the Pontiac, regardless of the newsletter or not?
Well, this particular room is full of people that are against it. We have 14,700 people in the Pontiac. And there are many people that are just waiting for some information. There are many people that have hope that we're going to be able to further study this. But it's not necessarily incineration. And I've already mentioned to you, we're now going to be working as a new way with the CPO. And the CPO will be looking at many things, not just incineration. Okay, no more questions from the public. No, sir, no, please sit down. Sit down, please, sit down. Go ahead, Bill.
I've pledged, and most of the mayor's here have pledged to not spend one more cent on this project. Let's vote.
Well, 1 more cent was supposed to be on a business study, Bill. I don't know how. Well, okay.
My thing is, I don't see, I've been reading it. I don't see anything on here that wasn't discussed at the public meeting. So I don't know what more information is coming out of this.
Well, that's a very good point that you've made. There is no new information from the public meeting. The problem was, you know, if people were really upset as you are, why didn't we have thousands of people at every town hall meeting? No, it's because there are a lot of people that are open-minded and just yes, and would like more information. No, Charlie, no. Okay.
I'm sorry, Jane, but a lot of people didn't, excuse me. A lot of people did not come out to the meeting because they're reassured that the mayors of the Pontiac will do the right thing and not let this go through.
Anne, I've been waiting a while, sweetheart.
Sandra,
Yes.
are you asking a question yourself?
yes, I
Okay,
am.
go ahead.
I'll make a little statement, then I'll ask my question. So I do agree with Christina 100%. Everything should be written down in this communication before we do vote on that. I would also agree that we should spend money with the media that we have. And I hope they do spread the truth. And something else that's very important to me is that the unknown is always scary to everybody. And I've been meeting people that are not agreeing with this, and I do have people that do agree with it. So what about the future? How can we be sure that it won't kill people or get people sick? I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I can't answer those things. On the weekend, I took mental notes on this, and I really had a hard time deciding to vote for it or not to vote for it. This morning, I came in here and I says, what's the problem with me voting on it to get the papers out? And then I'm sitting here and I'm wondering, still not sure I'm going to vote on this. So people seems not to want this in the Pontiac. People are afraid. And I think we should take our time to vote on things like that.
Sandra, are you suggesting that we put money aside then to use in the newspapers? Is that what you said? That's what you said?
No, what I'm suggesting is, I think we need to regroup, come back to the camp base and talk about this, because we didn't get much people at these meetings, but all the people that were there were against it. And we didn't hear nothing about the people for it, except at in my municipality, and they do come and see me, or they meet me at Metro, or they meet me at the dollar store, they meet me somewhere else. I'm not sure. But what I hear from my residents is they're afraid. And I think most of the Pontiac residents, that's what I'm hearing right now. So I think at my older job, when something wasn't going good, we returned to base camp, and we need to regroup and talk about this.
What did you just say, Mayor Gagnon? Did you say anything? Okay. All right. Mayor Gagnon, would you like to move that this go to our plenary meeting then for further discussion? Okay. Well, go ahead.
Yeah, hi Jane, I'm Ed Walsh for Mayor Clarendon. You always said that, you haven't heard a lot or whatever. Well, in our municipality and several others as well, we've had concerns come to the office, and we reflected that back in October, November, when there was actually 6 municipalities that voted against the $120,000 being used for their first study. And anyways, because you still had the majority, it did go ahead. And after the fact, the people that came in and said, you guys approved that. And I said, well, we didn't. We voted against the original 120. And
you voted against using the surplus.
yes, but
Yeah.
still, it was $120,000 out of your pocket or mine. It came out of somebody.
The 100, yeah.
But anyways, at the end of the day is told them we were no longer in support, and we sent a resolution regarding to that. But yet when these presentations were done, it was like all 18 mayors were in full support of it, and that isn't the case. And the people are coming in thinking that we are still supporting, but we are not.
So even if this project goes no further and we take consideration off the table, could we still send at least the piece of paper to let people know we're not going to inform them? I don't find that funny. You know what I find concerning is just that we're not communicating. So, if we're going to communicate, we're going to say there's no information, even in the newspapers, that you've suggested using. How many people are going to read that?
So as many people that want to read it will read it. And if it's too complicated, they will call here. They will call somebody, a mayor, a counselor, a lawyer, a scientist, to get the information.
Okay.
And then come here with their questions, or come to our council meetings with their questions. What we're putting out now is nothing new. And if they haven't seen this or heard about
They haven't.
this,
They haven't
well,
seen it.
how do you know that? For a fact, how do you know that?
How could they see it, Terry?
Well, how could they not have heard it? It's been in
Only
every
if someone from a
newspaper for the
town hall
last-
meeting
for the
took their
last month.
flyer and
It's been in
shared
the
it in their
newspaper.
neighborhood.
It's been
That's it.
discussed all over the MRC. It's been everywhere.
Not our
So I
information.
don't understand. Yeah, our information.
Okay.
Every information.
Okay.
If they're interested, they will find the information. So let's do our best to show them with their money purchased.
All right.
This isn't
Could-
it.
Could
This
I,
document is not it.
could I ask this question? Can I ask this question then of our members of council? Could we, at least have further discussion on a communication plan about what we're doing, at our plenary? Even if we talk about the recycling, compost, zero waste, I just don't want to leave this with nothing. I'd like to have us as a group decide on what we can communicate to the people of the Pontiac to show them that that we want to address our waste problem. So
I
that could be
believe-
at the plenary meeting.
I believe if this council of mayors took the time to come up with our first solution, which is composting, recycling, reusing, repairing, whatever it is, and we're communicating that with your $3,000 budget, I think we'd be getting a whole bunch more traction going forward. We have to start somewhere.
Okay.
Incineration is going to take 10 years, according to this. Zero waste is going to take 10 years, according to this. So let's start with what it sounds like most people, that's where they want us to start.
Okay.
We should have started.
So I just, before we conclude the meeting, could we, okay, go ahead, Brent. I'm sorry. Or?
Brent Orr, Municipality of Bristol. The total report, how many pages total?
To print it all, you mean?
No, the
Oh.
initial report from Deloitte, how many pages?
Well, I think the Rambo report was 84 or something, and maybe the other about 118. It's quite a bit of paper.
Yeah, so we're trying to send out a one-page flyer, which won't even scratch the surface. So
Okay.
we'd be better to release what we can on our website and
Yeah.
through media rather than do this because
We have about a 44, I think it is, page presentation that has got most of that information. And at least it would be legible, easy for people to read, but you would need access to a computer to see it. And, you know, not all our residents have internet or have computers. It's the truth, especially some of our seniors. Yes.
Yeah, one last comment.
Sandra?
So I agree with Terry. We need more information and we're talking about composting and stuff like that. I did ask Thierry, I see Carrie and Thierry report our municipalities when we started to talk about composting, about La Vallée de La Gatineau.
Yeah,
If
in
we
Casabajua.
see- Yeah, if we see how they're doing it, and yeah, they're doing it. There's 11%.
Yeah.
No, not very well, madam. It's 11% of composting.
Yeah.
That's the truth. It's better than nothing. I agree with you. But the thing is, Terry maybe could answer because I think he's doing composting. And we need time to get the information out, to get people agreeing to do composting so we can work in the Pontiac.
Okay.
And instead of having 8 and disagreement and dividing the people all together. Let's work together with everybody behind me to make this a success.
My thing is, this agenda is just for this newsletter. So what I'm doing is
The newsletter and the budget.
and the budget, and that's the only item. So I think we should call, I'm calling for the vote.
We don't need a.
Doris from
He
Sheenborough.
is moving it.
Yeah, I feel we're way off topic. It's yay or nay. We've already trashed this newsletter of what's wrong with it. Yes, there is a lot wrong with it. And we've decided that's what's on the agenda. We vote yes or no, and then we go back. And I'll say, like the other mayors, some of them have said, Sandra, we have to go back and start dealing with our recycling, sort of putting the cart ahead of the horse here.
Okay. Ivan?
Oh, hello. Yvan Schreier from Les Aux Allumettes, current pro mayor. First of all, I'm totally new to this whole meeting thing down here. I'm quite surprised that the level of yes. So that's the first thing I want to say. The second thing I want to comment on this proposed newsletter, and I'm all in favor of informing the public entirely. But the draft newsletter here doesn't cover it all. It doesn't. It talks about all the pros of energy from waste. I don't see. I thought maybe on the other side it would talk about the cons of energy from waste, and I'm not seeing that. So if we're going to put out a newsletter to inform people that don't have access to the internet, etc., let's make it a little bit more unbiased. Right now, this is totally biased to sell a product. So that's my point. Let's put as many facts on the table as we can to inform the public. Thank you.
Odie?
Odette Godin Waltham. Contrary to popular opinion, I really do like to get along with people. I have never seen, I hate coming to these meetings anymore. The mayors are against each other. The communities are against each other. It's just wrong. And when are we going to be able to say, it was an idea, we pursued it, and it's done? That's
So before we adjourn the meeting, Donnie wants to vote on this, and so we will, but I would like to have this on our next meeting plenary so that we can, so there's just been so much talk and very little action, and we do need to get going. It's not going to be easy because right now we have 18 municipalities that in many cases are doing different things for recycling and the composting. And so hopefully the waste committee can make some good progress. And besides Casabajua, remember we also have Uto for composting potentially. And we might even look at our own eco center and our own platform. And there's also been talk about the MRC itself getting involved in the collection of the compost to make it easier for the municipalities that don't have their own trucks and that sort of thing. So anyways, I think that this has been, you know, a good discussion. I personally had hoped that we could move forward with getting something out I hadn't thought of that as biased. I thought it was just the facts. The point is, the study did have favorable results, but, you know, we need to have the support around this table, always. We need to have a majority of people, ready to move forward on any plans that we might have, you know, for the future. So, but also do keep in mind that we already are in a plan with the other regions of the Outaouais. And yes, we're in a plan for finding waste solutions, period. And so the nice thing about that is there's very little investment on our part. I think all we've ever given is about $12,000 towards that, because it's the city of Gatineau that puts most of the money in. And the total, just to give you an idea, total tonnage in Outaouais versus plan, which was looking at 400,000 tons, is more like 80,000 for the total Outaouais. And it also doesn't involve importing anything across from Ontario. So I'm sure as the months, you know, I'm just finishing this. Well, we can do one of two things. We can vote on it, or we can also vote to defer, or we can have a vote to also have further discussion at the plenary, which has to happen. Okay. Okay. Okay, well, Donnie is proposing the resolution, right, Donnie? You're asking for the vote, so you're proposing the resolution. Okay, so we'll go well, I'll just ask for all in favor and then opposed. Yes, Kim will read it.
Initial business plan. Considering the importance of communicating information about the initial business plan to Pontiac residents, it is proposed by and resolved to approve the newsletter concerning the Energy from Waste initial business plan, which is attached here to form an integral part hereof. Be it further resolved that a sum of $3,000 be set aside from the warden's travel budget to cover the cost of printing and distributing the newsletter to Pontiac residents.
Mayor Donnie Gagnon. No, it doesn't mean you support it. He's just taking carriage. He's called the question. It doesn't mean you support it. Okay. No, you're just taking carriage of it. Exactly. Right. Okay. All those in favor of putting the newsletter out as it is? With the changes? Okay. One person, and opposed? Okay. So that does not carry, and we're finished our meeting. Could I have someone move adjournment of the meeting? Moved by Mayor Gagnon. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries.